What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Hopefully, everybody's having an awesome morning on this glorious March 29th. Man, we get the birds chirping outside. We're supposed to be up around 80 degrees again here in Tennessee today. And the only problem with that is you can hear in the voice is getting weaker and weaker every day. Been sneezing my head off, so hopefully we'll keep this as professional as this you've come to expect this sucky program to be. But we're going to talk some Packers, talk some draft. We may have some folks join us here in a little bit. I think Tim might be sleeping in a touch. Jacob was supposed to join. We'll see if he slides in here as well. But I see Andres already in the chat. We got Mountain Man Pack in here. We're live on Rumble, X, YouTube, and Facebook. So if you guys would, whatever platform you actually prefer, go ahead and hit like. Feel free to share it, all that good stuff. Make sure you subscribe to the channel as we're getting really, really deep into draft season. We got Jacob joining us now, man. It's been a blast. I've learned more about this draft than any prior year. I think it's because we've got more people involved. Obviously, Emilio helping with the board, Tim giving us his breakdowns, Jacob running through all the information as well. It's just been an absolute blast. If you're one of these people that aren't enjoying the draft this year, man, you're doing it wrong. I'm telling you, this is a fun draft. This is a really, really fun draft because, Jacob, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe you got a different view on it. It seems like some folks are looking at this draft like, well, there ain't a lot of studs at the top, or there's just nobody flashy in this draft. I'm looking at the information. I'm watching the tape. I'm going through all of the data, and I'm going, what the hell are you talking about? This draft is absolutely awesome, man. I don't know if it's just where we're knee deep in it now with this particular show or what, but what do you think about this class so far, man? I think it's been a blast.
Yeah, I mean, people are going to gripe about anything nowadays. I think it's, there are probably some points to say that it's not a very top-heavy quarterback class. I've heard people say it's not the best wide receiver class, that the tackle class is a little lacking, but I think it is a little bit, maybe we're biased because this is by far the most in-depth. I mean, the work that you and Amelia have done on that board has just been insane. And just the way that, we've really taken a good time of diving deep into a lot of prospects. Yeah. I think it's because we've learned from our mistakes of years prior. So it's almost 3, 4, 5 years of culmination of trial and error and realizing, hey, we didn't think about even this guy. We didn't look to the year prior. We didn't try to see if these skills translate to this type of offense. Like, we've kind of really taken the time to uncover a lot of layers that I don't think a lot out of podcasts do. I'm just saying. I'm not saying we're the best, but that's what a lot of people say. I don't know. It's more fun, I think, it's ever been. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but to me, I wake up every morning at like 4:30, 5 o'clock, and the first thing I do is I hop on PFF and I just do a couple mocks. And I do them not just to like, this is how it's going to happen. I do it because I want to figure out, all right, who haven't I not looked at? Who am I not thinking of? Put myself in Goody's shoes. What's the weirdest thing that could happen in this round or that round? And then that's how we learn. So,
yeah. No, I think that's very well said, man. And listen, there's other shows that don't go as deep into the prospects, as deep into the draft board, as deep into the behind the scenes stuff. That doesn't make them bad shows. Everybody's got a different approach, right? Like, there's some that, I know there are people that turn on this show and they're like, this is way too much information. I just want to kick back, laugh a little bit and bitch about Brian Gutekunst, right? That's what people do. So that's definitely not this show. Now, we'll have a good time and it gets off the rails more often than not, but we're all about trying to look at every aspect of the season, whether it's the off season or in season. What are the Packers thinking about right now? What's Goody thinking about? What's John Eric Sullivan thinking about? What's Matt LaFleur thinking about? What are they working on right now, right? And you guys know our board has been fairly put together for a while, although it's shuffling a little bit. And we're going to have a prospect we're going to highlight here in just a second. Just a quick little audio from Greg Cosell that's going to surprise the heck out of me. I'm eager to hear what you think on it, Jacob. But yeah, the board is shifting a little bit, and that's what's happening in draft rooms right now. The board isn't completely set, right? And they're running through, as many people like to scoff at mock drafts, Jacob, the teams right now, you can bet your rear end, they're running every scenario of mock drafts. Okay, well, in this scenario, this team taking this position as opposed to the one that we thought before, that shuffles the board up. All right, we need to be thinking about, if that happens, do we trade back? Do we go ahead and nab this dude who's the last of that position, although he's not the highest grade on our board, so we can hit a cluster on the next go round? All those things matter. And as we're just trying to look at it from every angle like the front office would essentially. So
it'd be interesting to find out if and how much, if any, AI is being used by different organizations. Like, I don't even know how they would, but I know they probably are. You know what I mean? They're plugging some sort of algorithm in to see if there's any kind of edge that they've got, or it'd be interesting.
It is happening. And there's already been reports of it, especially at the college level as well. Listen, AI, I know people are trying to push back on AI, and I get it. I'm that get off my lawn guy too. I hate change. Like, I would love for my schedule to be the same every single day. I would do every single task the same way. I'm just as my wife says, you're a stick in the mud is what she says all the time. I just want everything to be the same. And I love my house here. I love just kind of kicking back in my little sanctuary and doing the things. So, but the reality is with AI, man, and what you can do with it in a split second, you can comb through pretty much the entire internet and grab any piece of information you need. And it's funny that the people that are pushing back on AI, they don't even realize they've been using AI this whole time. You know, Google is a form of AI. It really is. It's just they're expanding it now to the point where it can be smarter. It can actually understand what you're asking it to pull for you. Like I can literally, I can go right now to Grok and say, hey, pull me every edge defender in this year's draft. In a split second, here's a list. All right, cool. Add their height and weight from the and I'll put combine only. It'll put their height and weight. Then I'll go grab their RAS score where it's available. Sometimes it's not because, MathBomb doesn't have a paywall, but when there's multi-layers to get into a website to grab information, if it's not been publicly posted, it might not be as readily available. But it's just using it for the right things and stop buying into the whole doom and gloom that robots are going to take over our life. This isn't, that's my little rant. Use AI for what you want to use it for, but don't be scared to go, man, this is a tool that you can use for good in a lot of different things.
You say that until Skynet becomes self-aware. All right.
Exactly. Until I wake up one morning, my draft board's been changed, and I'm like, what? And Grok's like, hey, bro, I fixed it. What are you doing? Get out of my draft board. Exactly. Fidel in the chat says, will you fellas be at the draft? We will. A good group of us will. Now, I don't know everyone. I don't want to put pressure on anyone. I know as of right now, me and Emilio will be there. Tim obviously lives in town. I know Ryan is still throwing around the idea of possibly going. I know, Jacob, you're trying to make it happen as well.
Ryan goes back and forth every episode.
Right. So here's our plan for the draft. And I know I've talked about this in the past, but we'll just briefly hit it. We're going up and we're spending the entire week. Like we're flying into town on Wednesday and we're not leaving until Sunday afternoon, I think it is, maybe Sunday morning. So our plan is to be over at the draft, over at the festivities, early Thursday until about 2 hours before the draft starts. And then we're going back to HQ where we got a B&B, and we're going to have everything already set up to do our live draft show, because I was honestly thinking, let's just skip it this year. Let's just hang out at the draft. But we got so much feedback. Like, bro, the reason I'm tuned into your channel is because of your draft coverage last year. And it's not going to be as good as it was last year, but we're trying everything we can to do it, because I invested into a $3,000 laptop to make sure we've got enough power to do what I do here. Tim's going to bring a monitor. That's what people see the $3 with the Patreon, and they're like, Clayton, man, he trying to get everybody for every dollar. You guys have no idea. My wife's going, Bub, we need to tone it back a little bit with the show. All right. So anyway, we're going to try to get everything set up at the house. That way, at the B&B, so we give you guys a quality product on draft day. That's the goal. And here's what's cool. Like, we linked up with Ryan last year. I'm still open to that if he wants to. If he wants to do his own thing, I completely understand that. Putting up with us is a full-time job, I promise. It's a task. But if you can't make it, you log on like you do at home, right? And everything's going to be the same. It's just we're going to be over there during the day. So if anybody wants to meet up, we'll make sure y'all know where we're at. We'll be running around probably laughing at people trying to kick field goals and run 40-yard dashes.
Right now, I would guess that I'm going to try to at least be there for round one. But I think it might be, if I could only make round one, then I would love to be kind of not the main host, but if my internet's kicking, because guys, I upgraded. I'm not stealing from the neighbors anymore. All right.
Oh, let's go.
So just so we have, that was, I think, one of the funnest podcast we've ever done was covering the draft last year. It was just every pick was fun. It was, we don't take ourselves too seriously. So I really do want you guys to try to tune in and just have fun with us, man. It's going to be a blast. I mean, we're probably never going to see this again in our lifetimes. A draft in Green Bay. It's just going to be amazing.
And listen, that's why I understand why Ryan's throwing around the idea of not going. I just told you I don't like to leave the house. So I completely understand, like, it's going to bother me not having my monitor. I got like a 4-foot monitor here, and I've got 5 or different windows open at once. So that's going to bother me. It's going to bother me not having, the comfort of what we're used to. And I'm with you, Jacob. It was fun, man. We had a blast last year, and it's only going to get better from here on out for sure. So, So yeah, Fidel, we'll be there. Like I said, throughout the day, just hanging out, enjoying the festivities. And then we're going to go back and make sure that we, get the show out for sure. So Prince in the chat, last year was awesome. A lot of fun with a full crew, and Ryan joining in. I completely agree. I hope he joins in again this year. And it's cool having his son involved too. Man.
I was just going to say his son probably made $200-300 that draft. Do you remember that? Oh, he's cleaning up, dude.
Yeah, for real. All right. So let's jump into a prospect we've talked about a little bit. It's not going to be a deep dive, but this one caught me off guard, Jacob. You guys know we use Greg Cosell as one of our head scouts, right? And what I mean by that is me and Emilio have been combing through podcasts, anything that he's on, anything that Greg Cosell's attached to. We want to hear his breakdown of these prospects. So it's like we have a senior scout in the building. If you're wondering, why do you use Greg Cosell? He's been with NFL Films since the 70s, okay? This dude has been breaking down film longer than I've been alive. And what he does, too, is he removes all personal stuff. He doesn't care if someone got arrested. He doesn't care if someone has an injury. He's not trying to predict where they're going to sit on a big board. He's just simply watching the tape and going, here's my scouting report. So if he really likes a prospect, we give him a bonus, right? And we got like 4 tiers of bonuses: a 7-point bonus, a 5-point bonus, a 3-point, and a 1-point, okay? So we never give a penalty if he says, man, I really hate that. I don't like this guy, which he'll hardly ever say, because he's just going to look at it like the coaches do. What can this player bring to the table, and what level can he do that? So anyway, he was talking on One Bills Live, which is a podcast, awesome podcast. I know it's a Bills podcast, but they do a good job covering the game of football. There's no two ways about it. He was on there talking about Maxwell Hairston from Kentucky. And you guys know I've been vocal. Maxwell Hairston's fairly low on our board. I want you to hear the way that Greg Cosell talks about him. It's only about a minute long. And I'm going to throw the belt to ass up, because I feel like this is Greg Cosell giving me the belt to ass for not liking Maxwell Hairston a little bit more. But here we go.
Believe it or not, I spoke to someone who actually likes him more as a corner than Travis Hunter. So, but I really liked this kid when I did him last summer. I think he's got the physical traits to pretty much do anything. Now he's not super big, and that for some, every team has their critical factors. Some coaches say, I don't want a corner under 6 feet, all that kind of stuff. You know how that goes. But I just really like the way he plays. He can play press. He can play off. I think that, to me, Chris, I thought that he was aggressive and competitive as a run defender. I thought he took on blocks with physicality. I thought he made tackles. I mean, at 5'11" and a quarter, 183, is he going to, just lay people out? Of course not. But that's not what you're looking for with a corner. You just want to make sure that he's willing to get involved physically as a tackler, and I think he is. But this kid is just really fluid. He's such an easy mover. I certainly didn't expect 4.28, but I thought he'd run well. But 4.28 is exceptionally, good for a corner. But he's a player I really like.
All right, so there you go again. That's Greg Cosell, as Ross Tucker refers to him as the civilian GOAT, breaking down Maxwell Hairston. Jacob, I had to give him a 5-point bonus from Cosell here on the big board, and he's now up to the 82 spot, it appears, is where he's at now. So he's slowly climbing up our board a little bit. Now, that's probably all he'll get, because every single column is filled in. If you were to remove his 2024 PFF grade, he's probably an early second on our board, but instead he's sitting in the 82 spot. Anything you want to add on Maxwell Hairston? I know we've talked about him a little bit. He's a physical freak in terms of quickness, speed, agility, all those things. But like I said, man, PFF last year they were not kind to him before the injury, were they?
No, they weren't. I'm going kind of back. He's one of those players I'm just going back and forth on. And listening to Cosell, has actually helped me a lot. I actually went back and I listened to every single drop that he's had on the Ross Tucker podcast that I could see in the last month.
Yeah.
Specifically just listen to him. And I like Ross Tucker, but I like the way that he doesn't lead Cosell into any player. He may ask about a player certainly, but he just kind of lets him say what he's going to say. Like, he doesn't try to put any sort of caveat into these questions. He just kind of like, tell me what you think, or tell me who you're thinking about in this category or that category. And then the guy you can tell how much he loves what he does, because it comes through with the passion and that kind of stuff. And it really does lend a bit of credence to, like, I just believe what he says. I don't think there's any bull crap with this guy. I think that he just says what he sees, and that's just, it's 100% fact-based. Like you said, he takes the emotion out of it. So if he looks at a guy like Maxwell Hairston as being the guy, I mean, what did he mention, that somebody had him over Hunter as the best quarterback?
He said, I talked to one scout that had him over Travis Hunter. That's listen, I'm too drunk to taste that chicken. I'm like, right. Yeah, that's wild, isn't it?
But it is interesting to see that there is that type of chatter. So it's not just an absolute one-way street where everybody's a like-minded blob. You know what I mean? So we have to think about that. He helps, I think, break down the draft in a way that a lot of, and I hate saying casual fans, but a lot of casual fans would just say, oh, this guy's not going to last past this pick or that pick. There's a lot of nuance, and he's been around the NFL for so long that he understands one guy's board looks completely different from another team's board. It just depends, like he said, what the packages are, what the needs are, how they want to use this player. So it is kind of cool to see that aspect of it.
Yeah, and I want to make it very, very clear. You could hear in his voice he did not agree with that guy about Travis Hunter. He was just like, I talked to one guy that liked Maxwell Hairston better than Hunter. So, I've listened to enough of his pods to know that Travis Hunter is probably the top corner prospect on his board. Now, we haven't given Travis Hunter a Greg Cosell bonus because he's kind of sitting where we expect him to be, and Greg wasn't like, wow, this guy's a generational talent. He just kind of speaking of him as he sits, So if he felt like he needed to be higher, he would have, been a little more, a little more excited about him. If he thought he was going to be lower, he'd go, I think he's overrated. So, yeah, it's just interesting, like you said, to get everybody's take on all these individual prospects. So, Tim may be joining us here in a second. No rush, Tim. You take your time, but we're in good shape here, man. Go ahead.
So I don't know. I have to imagine some really smart, handsome guy named Jacob said that hit that like and share to help other Packer fans find us. I don't know who that guy is. He sounds awesome. But really, honestly, no, all jokes aside, between now and the draft, there's going to be a lot of Packer fans looking for content. If you guys would, I mean, we love it when you like it, but if you could share it, just share it on your Facebook, your X, your Twitter, whatever you want to call it, and just say, hey, if you guys are Packer fans, check us out. We're going to be doing a lot of it. It would help us a ton. Yeah,
I would greatly appreciate it. And listen, it's cranking right now. I'm just telling you, like we just hit in the last 28 days, the channel alone, just our little channel here, has gotten over 91,000 views. It is, and what's crazy is, like, I get these statistics that are emailed to me all the time, and it's like, you had 10,000 new viewers this week. I'm like, if half of them had just hit like or subscribed, our channel would blow up. So it is worth mentioning for sure. So Fidel Smith in the chat says, if some guy rolls up on you in a wheelchair, it's me. Don't swing. I'm a friend. Hey, good stuff, Fidel. Look forward to meeting you at the draft, brother. It's going to be a blast, man. We'll hang out and watch these people, these knuckleheads, like I said, doing the Charlie Brown whiffing on the kicks and busting their arse running the 40-yard dash. Mandy's like, you're going to run an H. I'm like, Mandy, you would have to take me to the hospital.
Put a bowl of elk stroganoff at the end and you'll run it.
Oh, my God. You kidding me? Maxwell Hairston ain't got nothing. Shoot.
Breaks Dion's record and
Greg Cosell be talking about me on the next pod. You know what I'm saying?
This Clayton kid is something else, I tell you.
He's no Buckets Goldenberg, but he can really run.
Exactly. All right, let's see here. Let's move it along real quick and keep it in that vein of where we were talking about our top prospect breakdowns. We've had this one on the back burner for a while. You guys have probably already read it. I think we posted it 2 days ago on our Patreon group. Again, another perk to being in the Patreon community is you get access to these the second they're created, and then we'll incorporate them into the show as we go along. Yeah, so what we've got is edge defenders. And the way I did this, guys, is I went and grabbed the top 7 edge defenders and broke them down, okay? And this was a real fun write-up here. Now, understand some of the stats may be inaccurate. We used AI to pull a lot of it. So if you see something, say something, right, Jacob? That's what they always say. If you see an error, mention it in the comments over on YouTube, and we'll get that changed. I think last week we had someone, it was the high school that Jacob Bayer went to, the AI pulled the wrong high school, and it was fairly close to where he went to high school. So we were able to change that, and I can edit these articles to get the information out accurate. Also, there are what we call collections over on Patreon. If you click on those collections, if you're a member of just the $3 tier, what you get access to is I'm basically filing all of these articles into specific categories. So if you want to go look at all the offensive lineman prospects, they're all in there. You want to go look at the edge defenders, they're in there. We got it all broken down. There'll be history segments. We'll put all the history articles in there as well. So you can just kind of go back through that. So, all right, top 7 edge defenders. I did this one a little bit different. I thought it'd be fun to kind of mix things up. So here are how they sat on our big board 2 days ago. Again, our board's constantly shuffling. It doesn't shuffle that much, so these should be in this I don't know, a roundabout area on our board. Okay, physical traits, 2025 NFL Scouting Combine data. Okay, in the number 11 spot on our big board was James Pierce Jr., 6'5", 243, 4.47 40, 1.58 10-yard split, 32.5-inch arm length, explosive, lean frame. And here's the guy. In the 14 spot, we got Mike Green, 6'3", 251, 4.57 40-yard dash, 1.62 10-yard split with 33-inch arms, solid athleticism. Number 16 spot, we've got Shamar Stewart. Now, you guys know the Packers met with James Pierce Jr., and they also met with Shamar Stewart. He's in the 16 spot on our board. 6'6", 267 pounds. He played at 280 pounds, though. That's what's crazy. He was listed at 290 in some places, but he's definitely an edge defender. 4'6", 140, 165 10-yard split, 34.5-inch arms. His wingspan was insane, they said. 999 RAS with massive build. In the number 18 spot, surprise, surprise, it's another Packers top 30 visit. We talked about him last night. That's Michael Williams. 6'5", 260, 4.73 40-yard dash, 164 10-yard split, 33.5-inch arms, strong, prototypical top edge defender. Number 25 spot, we got Nick Scorton, 6'2". Here's the guy. Untested, all right. An untested 40-yard dash, an untested 10-yard split as of the writing of this article with 32 3/4-inch arms, stocky and powerful is what it says. Number 32, we got Jeff Hafley's very own Donovan Raku, 6'2", 250, untested 40-yard dash. It was an untested 10-yard split at the time, 34-inch arms, undersized, long reach, though. Okay. And then 33 on our big board was Landon Jackson, 6'6", 264, 4.68 40, 168 10-yard split, 32.25-inch arms. He has a towering frame.
Thick.
Round the horn with this real quick, boys. What do y'all think about those measurements?
You know what pops out to me is that I love Donovan Ezeraku, but I just thought he's just undersized and the Packers wouldn't ever take a stab at him. But you look at the 34-inch arms on a 6'2" frame, that's kind of crazy. Like, that dude is a little oddly sized. It must be hard for him to find good shirts. But that to me, it kind of makes up. You know, you look at some of these guys like a Landon Jackson. He's a freak. He's got 32 basically inch arms. He's got Donovan has 2 inches more, which doesn't sound like a lot, but hey, I tell you what, a couple inches makes all the difference. So it's if you can make that first contact, that's half the battle of, you know, that stab, whatever you want to call it. Like it will make a difference to kind of offset that undersize and the height and weight area, I think.
Yeah. Tim, I know you're just
come on, Tim.
What's up, man?
I'm wondering why my boy Princely Umanamilian isn't on this list.
He's so disappointed.
That's what I'm wondering.
A little lower on our board. Matter of fact, I'll tell you exactly where he's at here, Tim. Princely, and again, these were the top 7 on our board. What I tried to do was narrow it down to those guys that may go in the first round at the time that we created the article, because one thing's for sure, guys, 3 of the players on this list the Packers set up top 30 visits with, they are eyeing an edge defender in the first round is what it really feels like. At least that's the early indication. Okay. So with Princely, I want to say he's a little bit lower. We've got him in the 52 spot, Tim. Now the Packers have met with him, not a top 30 visit, but he is in the number 52 spot. Well, he killed it on PFF last year though. My God. So
definitely. That's my dude right there. He's probably going to be a second round guy, I think. Based on where I've seen him on a lot of boards, but I think this is a great list, though. I mean, I think if we add any one of these dudes to our to our edge room, man, we're going to be in pretty good shape.
Yeah. And here's the thing too, Tim, you love Princely a lot, right? In the first round, we've talked about, man, do you go 3-tech or you go edge, right? I think you and I both agree. I would rather have a 3-tech over an edge.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you get to the second round. What if Princely and Jaden Higgins are both sitting there? What are you going to do, Tim? Jaden Higgins and Princely are sitting there with the 54 pick. Which one would you take? I got to put you on the spot here, man.
I'm going to give you a real shocking answer.
With the 54th pick,
With the 54th pick in the draft, the Green Bay Packers take Jaden Higgins, Iowa State.
So we like Princely. We just don't like him that much.
I mean, if we get a 3-tech first, yeah, I'm more likely to want to go ahead and grab that stud receiver that I've been talking about, for the last 6 months. But I don't know. Shamar Stewart jumps off the tape too. And I do. I like Princely out of Ole Miss. But not as much as I like Jaden Higgins. It's no secret.
Prince in the chat says, make it harder. Princely, Higgins, and Amos are all there. That's going to be interesting, man. It's going to be interesting. The answer is always trade back, though, right, Jacob? It's always trade back. Trade back and get that
back. It is an interesting group, though, because I agree. I really like Princely as well. I also have kind of a soft spot for Jared Ivey, the opposite edge that not a lot of people have talked about. He was 6'6", 285 according to PFF and had a 90.6 grade last year. So that whole defensive line was absolutely pretty much studs across that Ole Miss. I mean, the Ole Miss lineup, I can't believe those guys didn't win more games because that was just a powerhouse of a team this year.
Yeah. Fidel Smith says, only thing that scares me is Shamar Stewart because of his lack of production. It scares us too, man. It does. We talk about all the time, and I don't want to speak for the guys. You guys correct me if you disagree. If I've got two prospects, one's a physical freak and the other has way better production, way better results, I'm leaning toward the guy who had the results on the field as opposed to the dude in the underwear Olympics. That's just me. For example, if you look at this list, and I'm glad you brought this up again, you guys, if you see an inaccuracy with the stats, let me know. There may be some in here. I think we got them right. Like Michael Williams, or some sites that had him for like 4.5 sacks. Others had him at 3, so we just tried to do the best we could here, okay? James Pierce Jr., 7.5 sacks, 13 tackles for a loss. That was for 14 games in 2024, according to the system here. Shamar Stewart, 2.5 sacks, 6 tackles for a loss. That was for 14 games at Texas A&M. Mike Green, 17 sacks, 22.5 tackles for a loss in 14 games. Michael Williams, 3 sacks, 6.5 tackles for a loss with 15 games with Georgia. Nick Scorton, 5 sacks, 14 tackles for a loss for Texas A&M in 14 games. Donovan Ezeraku, 16.5 sacks, 20.5 tackles for a loss out of Boston College in 13 games. And Landon Jackson, 6.5 sacks, 9.5 tackles for a loss, Arkansas, 13 games. So with that being said, when you look at the production aspect and where these guys sit on the board for us, if we scroll back up, the big thing that sticks out is look at Mike Green, right? 17 sacks, 22.5 tackles for a loss. And then look at Donovan Ezeraku. Those are the two that really stick out to me, right? So where is Mike Green and Donovan Ezeraku on our list? Again, Ezeraku's in the 32 spot. Mike Green is in the 14 spot. We have not met with Mike Green. Now, here's where it gets frustrating for me as a Packer fan. Everyone will say, well, Clayton, they're not going to draft him because he's only 251 pounds. And it's like, okay, then don't be pissed off when you don't have the production that you're looking for, right? Mike Green, to me, seems like that's the dude when you look at a production standpoint. You guys, what's your take? Did you see any numbers that may be wrong there? How do you feel about it, Jake?
I mean, what's interesting is that you look at the two guys that are quote unquote undersized seem to have by far the best production there.
Right.
And, you could, I'm not saying that that's a causation, type thing, or if a guy can play, he can play. I think, like you said, I know for a fact that we as Packer fans have been way too used to the idea of, hey, if he's got a 10 RAS or a 9.9 or a 9.8, that means that we can plug and play. We can develop him. We can do all this kind of stuff. It just isn't the case. It's just not the case. We've seen it time and time again. However, I will say that this year of all years, I could totally see the fact that Shamar Stewart, with, not much production in college, all of a sudden is the one guy that comes in the league and just all of a sudden starts blowing it up. You know what I mean? Just starts having double-digit sacks, tackles for loss, absolute disruptor. I could see him breaking that streak in the 1 year that we maybe would pass on it and get a guy like, a more of an undersized guy that's produced like an Ezeraku. I still have a lot of confidence in Ezeraku. Even if we were to pick him, I mean, I wouldn't want him in the first, but second round pick, I totally would be okay with it.
Got it. Tim, what about you, man? I don't know if you had to step away. I'll give you a second to see if you're still here.
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry about that.
Oh, you're good, man. You're good. What do you think about it, from a production standpoint there in college?
Yeah, I mean, are you talking just in general with Stewart?
Just all the way around. Like, the whole purpose of this is, all right, we're obviously looking at an edge defender in the first round. Does the production change your stance on who you may or may not choose? Because, like, when I see these numbers, the one that sticks out to me is Mike Green. But again, when you're talking about the athletic threshold and him being 251 pounds, it's the same story with James Pierce Jr. I don't know. It gets aggravating, man, because it's like, okay, just because he's 10 pounds lighter, even though he absolutely shredded it in college, why would we worry about that 1 inch of height? You know what I'm saying? So
exactly,
that's basically what we're hitting at.
I agree with your stance that I'd rather have the guy with the production. I don't really care about the measurables as much as the tail of the tape, the guy that's getting it done. And I think a lot of these, this crop of edge defenders, yeah, you're kind of, it seems like one or the other. It's hard to get the guy that's the hits the measurables you want and then has the production you want. It's kind of like a one or the other scenario. And when you're talking about a first round pick, especially with Goody, we have had kind of an up and down track record, and we know that Goody likes the RAS scores, and he likes the the athleticism and things like that, and may actually kind of look past limited production sometimes. So hopefully this is the year that change, and we see a change there, and we go with production based talent, especially with a first round pick. So I'm with you, man. You really look on paper and it's like Mike Green looks like the dude. I just don't know if that's who we're going to end up drafting if we do go edge first round.
Right. And listen, I definitely trust our board over production. I don't want this to come across the wrong way. When you look at the board, you're looking for, okay, who are the best on the board, and then throw the production category, like almost like a tiebreaker, like a cluster buster. All right, who had the most production in college since these guys are grouped together? Like, for instance, if Shamar Stewart was significantly higher than Mike Green, let's say that Shamar Stewart was 10th on our board and Mike Green was 32nd, I'm going Shamar Stewart because the board says you always trust the board, right? Mm-hmm. But the fact that they're so close together and actually trying to see exactly how close they are here, you've got Shamar Stewart is 14th, right? And who's the other guy? Mike Green. Mike Green is 20th. So they're literally one tier apart. You see what I'm saying? So that's where you go, Shamar Stewart's the better prospect according to the board. You'd have to climb down a tier. You'd reach a little bit for Mike Green, but the production is so high, it makes you think about it. So,
what do you think about what J. Cole says here? He says, someone mentioned that Texas A&M defense were focused heavily on stopping the run. Now, the 2.5 sacks concerns me about Stewart, but the guy is a freak athlete. That reminds me of the argument that I heard for Rashawn Gary, where he was not basically allowed to unleash. He was more of a contained guy that was just basically to set the edge and really be an unselfish type player that was a difference maker on that defense. And the fact that he was willing to not have the production that probably would have helped his draft stock even more was a big feather in his cap kind of thing. Now, if we take a step back and realize that up until this point, Rashawn Gary has never had a double-digit sack in his career season. Now, do you consider that a bust? Do you consider I'm not going to make that determination right now. I think that I like Rashawn Gary. I think that we have a better team with him on our team. I just would, that's one thing to think about is like, do we want to go down that road again and have a guy that we have another contract, double contracts with that doesn't produce more than double-digit sack season in his career? And that is something I think that's why everybody's a little gun shy right now with these.
Yeah, no, I completely understand. And the other conversation too is, did they play in a 3-4 or 4-3?
Right,
like,
exactly.
Now, when you're building a draft board, you don't list that on your draft board, right? You watch the tape and you can determine you're trying to project anyway into the next round, but it does have a fact. It does have an effect on the outcome of the numbers. There's no doubt. Now, Could Texas A&M have keyed in on the run? That's quite possible, right? That's really kind of what it looks like, because you don't have anyone on there that just absolutely blew up in terms of sacks, right? Like you see Nick Scorton here as well. You got Shamar Stewart. They played on the same team together. You got several defensive linemen, interiors, that played on the same team together. So that's the real thing about Green Bay. I just wish people would have the same grace towards the Packers and their defense last year. It was so obvious they were focused on stopping the run. And because the sack numbers are low, everybody loses their mind all of a sudden. Cut Gary, get rid of this guy. It's like you've really got to watch the tape and go, okay, what are they trying to accomplish? Now, in terms of Rashawn Gary, you can watch, his college highlights. They actually played him inside a lot too. There's one particular highlight where he occupies 4 blockers. There's literally 4 guys trying to block him, and he's walking them to the sideline to force the running back outside. Now, is Rashawn Gary a Hall of Famer? No. Is he an All-Pro? No. He made a Pro Bowl last year. You can roll your eyes at that. I completely understand. What you've got in Rashawn Gary, I think, is a very good – when he's on his game, he's a great edge defender. When he's not on his game, I still think he's very good. Go look at him in the run game last year. And that's why, Jacob, this isn't a shot at you. This is just my stance. I could give a rat's ass about the sack totals. We wanted a better run defense. We got it. We wanted a better pass defense. We got it. And now we're going, we need more sacks. That's the stuff I don't look at the game that way. That's why, we always say take your eye off the ball, like Pat Kirwan says in his book. If you're just focused on the stat column, if you're just focused on sacks, you're just focused on touchdowns, you're just focused on yards, you're not truly watching what's going on in the game. And I know one of the big arguments that you hear a lot is, well, I just want somebody who finishes. What the hell does that mean? Oh, that means you want more sacks. Got it. Okay. You keep your sacks. I want the dude who's going to pressure, 50% more than the guy with the high sacks and force interceptions. See, you can't mention we had lower sack numbers last year and conveniently not mention how many interceptions we had, right? Because the goal is takeaways and point differential. That's what it comes down to. Again, if I have to choose between 2 players, would you rather have more sacks or less? Of course I want more, but not at the expense of someone who's going to have a lower pressure rate because they're, running wild up the field and they're leaving their gap assignment as well. That's a big problem with Devontae Wyatt. Devontae Wyatt, if they just say, hey, man, you got the freedom, go get the quarterback, he can do that. But they're trying to harness him into keeping his gap integrity so they can keep that run defense, in the top 10, top 5 of the league. And I think that's what's going to put you in a position to win championships. Because if you take that run away and you force a team to be one-dimensional, and now you're playing 7 in coverage with a 4-man rush, with one of the 4 guys that are rushing the quarterback playing a touch spy where the quarterback can't scramble, that's where you end up with a lot of interceptions. So it's give and take, man. It really is. Hugh, Mr. Jass, I've always got to say it that way. Jass with the super chat. Thanks, PTA. Thank you, buddy. We appreciate you, man.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
One other real quick point, we were talking about scheme, 4-3 guys versus 34 guys. I think when you're talking about like edge defenders, it's not as big of a deal, I guess, is how I would say is, a lot of guys are going to get drafted and they're going to be asked to do things that they weren't necessarily doing in college anyway. And I think with an edge defender, whether you're a 34 guy or a 43 guy, I don't think that's like a huge deal breaker. Like you look at Ezra Raku, he's a 34 guy. Well, that doesn't mean he wouldn't have success in our defense. And I think it's important to remember that and not fixate too much on the schemes that they played, in college.
Yeah, definitely. SDM40 says, I must be crazy. I'm thinking the edge room is full and Goot is patient and Covington was hired to fix that room. All of those are great points. You're not crazy for thinking that, SDM40. Just don't tweet it, okay? Because if you tweet it, I'm telling you, the Cash, they come out of the woodwork, bub. It's hilarious. And when you look at the edge room, that's the point I was trying to make is like the reason I feel like we've got room to go get a 3-tech. TJ Slayton walked in free agency, so you got a void there, right? Kenny Clark's cap number jumps to $30 million next year. You got to make a decision there. So if you go get the 3-tech of the future now, oh, by the way, this is one of the best drafts for 3-tech. You go get a 3-tech now and let him play behind Kenny and work himself into the rotation. You'll make a decision on Devontae Wyatt, whether you want to keep him. And if you hit on an absolute stud at 3-tech, You move on from Kenny, you step in with a rookie contract. You got a better player. You upgraded the position. LVN takes the next step. Rashawn Gary is going to start the decline soon. And some people think it happened last year. I refuse to believe it watching him in run defense. Like, you could just see him keying in on the run all year. He still led the team in sacks. He led the team in pressures. He led all these things. So I think in the next 2 to 3 years, you're going to be moving on from him. That's why they're probably looking at edge in the first round, because 3-tech is so deep. They may go edge first, 3-tech second, then wide receiver in the third.
Oh, bye-bye, Jaden Higgins.
Exactly. So, and again, we did a really cool article here on Patreon. You can check it out. The picture, I can't remember the title, but the picture will have Elijah Badger from the Florida Gators. We gave you guys 3 wide receivers later in the draft that are like, whoa, these dudes look like the real deal. Elijah Badger was one really late. But, yeah, there's a couple guys on there that I could see Goody going, you know what, let's go edge, let's go 3-tech, then let's go wide receiver. That could be the case as well.
Did you guys by chance get to listen to Ryan's pod this morning?
I did not yet.
He brought back up the probability from basically what I could get. It was that I can't remember what the source was, but it was somebody either in the Packers organization or close to the Packers, blah, blah, blah. But basically said it's basically a well-known fact, a known secret that the Packers are still actively shopping Jair, and that he's not going to probably be with the team.
That's a real thing.
That draft.
Rob Domofsky put an article out. He talked to sources on both sides. So he talked to someone within the team and someone within Jair's camp.
So do you see any credence to the fact that possibly we get another draft pick within the top 50, the top 75?
Oh, yeah,
maybe
absolutely.
Basing from and if that's the case, Tim, would you be able to swallow that knife, which I know is going to hurt, if, say, you were to get a draft pick that were to make a Jaden Higgins available or enter 3-tech here? You know what I mean? Something that would at least maybe
that would make me feel a lot better about
right.
Jair getting traded, right? If Goody can finagle a 3rd rounder or something for him, and or multiple picks possibly as a deal, makes a little bit more sense. You know, the thing that scares me is the talk of just like, you know, an outright post June 1 cut or something.
That's
like
what Dennis just said.
Yeah, I know, but I just don't see that. That would really suck, honestly, you know, because I feel like you're getting nothing. What do they save, $6 million on the cap or something?
Yeah, but if you go post June 1, I think those numbers kind of flip, so you're going to free up even more money post.
Okay, more money. All right. Well, what would you rather have, more cap room or extra draft capital? I think Goody would answer that question with both. But
both.
Yeah, both. It might be one or the other, though. But no, to answer your question, Jacob, that would make, as a Jair fan, it would suck to see him leave. But if we got great value and we brought in, like you said, we got a monster 3-tech out of the deal, plus maybe we add another one of these, you know, upper to middle tier corners. There is some corner talent, you know, in this draft as well. You know, talk about rounding that room out. So yeah, I think if we get some capital for him, I'll be a little bit happier, you know.
All right, that's going to do it for hour 1. For those of you listening on the pod, we'll see you on the other side for hour 2, where we will continue the top 7 edge defender conversation. We appreciate y'all. All right, welcome into hour 2, and we'll continue this. Anything else you guys want to add on the Jair talk? I think that was a fascinating question there, Jacob. And you know, using the Rich Hill trade chart, someone had asked me on Twitter the other day, do you think we could climb back up to this pick, trading that pick? It's going to probably take Jair and a pick to climb up around, is essentially what it's going to take, right? So I think that's a real thing. I think that's a great conversation. But anything else you guys want to mention on that before we get back to the edge defenders here?
No, I like what Tim said. I want more draft capital. I really do. I just think that it'd be a better overall investment.
I want Jair Alexander on the team, so that's where I'm at. But it looks more and more every day like that's not going to happen. I had false hope there for a while, Clayton. I really thought they were going to.
Hey man, I've been right there with you,
loading up talent around them. But
again, I want Jair. I want 80 overall Jair is what I'm wanting. You know what I mean? And a healthy version of him. The reality is it hasn't been there. So I can understand both sides. I'm with you, Tim. Like if you keep Jair and you draft somebody like Jahdae Barron in the first round and you couple those guys together, holy cow. But it does seem like both sides, according to Rob Domofsky, they've already made their decision. They're moving on. The question is, does a team risk them getting into a bidding war for him after the draft, or do they go ahead and give up a draft pick? And that's why I think it's on the table. Here's the thing. The conversations have all been had. The Packers have talked to people. We already know that about potentially trading him. So there's probably packages already put together where teams that are looking to draft a corner say, hey, look, if we don't, we really like a few guys here in the first and second round. If we don't get any of those guys, we'll trade you a third for him or a fourth for him, whatever it may be. Those packages are already in place. I just about guarantee it. So on draft night, when the Packers are on the clock, whether it be the third or the fourth round, they may get that call and go, hey, man, we didn't get our guy. We'd like to give you our fourth round pick for Ja. That could be the case. That's why when you're grouping picks together, I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's less likely because that scenario that I just laid out is kind of out the window as if there was a specific approach to this exact pick here. So it's going to be interesting, though, man. It's going to make draft night even more enjoyable for sure. Drew D says post-June 1 cut, just spread the hit over an extra year. It's the same amount of money paid. There you go. So like I said, you can choose – the guaranteed money is the guaranteed money. You could choose, do you want to free up more money now or later? And here's a big misconception. I think there's a lot of people that don't understand rollover cap. Like someone called into Packernet After Dark and was like, hey, why don't we eat a bunch of cap this year so we have more cap next year? If you don't use the cap, whether you eat it this year or not, you still roll it over, the cap space. The reality of the situation is how much of the guaranteed money do you want to pay so you can lower the cap number if you can get a player to take a restructure or a pay cut when it's in all honesty, we've covered this a lot. You're basically guaranteeing more of the contract so you can free up space. That's what Andrew Brandt refers to as cash over cap. You're trading cash for more cap space is essentially what you're doing. So, all right, back to the edge defenders here. Strengths, James Pierce Jr., his strengths are speed rusher, devastating first step. So there's your speed rusher of this draft, right? That's what he does, and he does it well. I think he's coming in at like 248 pounds, something like that is the most recent reports. Greg Cosell said, when you see this dude, he looks like a safety. He said if he develops a power move, if he develops power within his pass rush, he's going to be dominant. But that's the thing he's lacking. Shamar Stewart, power and size, versatility versus the run/pass. So he definitely looked good against the run. As we had mentioned, Texas A&M seemed to have really keyed in on stopping the run last year. Mike Green, explosive, physical, and well-rounded. Don't that sound like the highest floor that we just talked about? It doesn't mention he's a little bit undersized weight-wise, but it didn't mention that with James Pierce either. Mikel Williams, toolsy, strength, bend, and burst. Okay, that's another top 30 visit for the Packers. Nick Scorton, bull rush power, inside spin. So this is the guy that Greg Cosell really raved over. He's like, this guy is a pass rusher. He's got moves. He's got multiple moves. He can rush speed to power. He can rush power to speed. And he's got a really good inside spin move, according to this as well. Donovan Ezaraku, twitchy, refined moves, relentless. So there's another guy that you probably say, looking at the scouting report, a better pass rusher. And then Landon Jackson, run stopping, anchor, uses length. That's that dude that's got the big wingspan there. So go ahead, Jacob. What do you got?
Nothing. I'm just when Dwight Schrute was asked to describe himself in 3 words, he's like relentless, insatiable, jackhammer. That's just what I see when I see these descriptions here. You know,
I've never heard toolsy used before. That's a good one. Toolsy. I'm assuming that means
we got a couple that are toolsy in the chat. No,
just a few.
Landon Jackson is an increasingly interesting prospect, especially if he were to fall into like the 3rd or something like that. I mean, the guy just looks scary. Like everything about him. He's quick. He's massive. He says run stopping anchor uses length. I mean, the guy, he seems like he's just a scary looking guy. It'd be great if we could maybe have him. He reminds me of more of like a Preston Smith type where he's not necessarily going to wow you, but he's so long and powerful that he can absolutely take care of business to set that edge and possibly be a decent enough pass rusher, but we'll see.
Yeah, we got Landon Jackson in the 34 spot. And Kyle Krabs had him at 23, but Dane Brugler had him at 45. So he's right in the middle of those two guys. So, yeah, he's probably going to be a 2nd-round pick, I would imagine.
PFF's got him at 41 right now.
There you go. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
That kind of checks out. All right, so, again, those are the strengths. Now let's go to the weaknesses. James Pierce Jr. struggles versus the run. He's one-dimensional. We just kind of talked about that. Shamar Stewart, low production, lacks elite bend. Mike Green, past off-field concerns, not run dominance, what it says, even though he had like 22 or whatever it was tackles for a loss. I don't know what his run defense grade was. They may disagree, but again, this is just pulling from a multitude of scouting reports. Maxwell Williams, slow recognition, inconsistent snap timing. All right, so he seems kind of raw.
You know, likey that, Jan.
Mike Green's run defense grade last year was a 90.2.
Got it.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, and when you see the tackles for a loss as well, you would probably disagree with the weakness list here for him, no doubt. Nick Scorton, stiff hips, lacks top burst. Donovan Ezaraku, undersized, weaker versus the run. Landon Jackson, limited pass rush moves, average quickness is what it says. So, again, I don't like to focus on the weaknesses because that's not what coaches do. That's not what scouts do. They try to gear the information to what can this player do for our football team as opposed to what does he not do. You'll hear multiple coaching rants about that. Like everybody gets so damn hung up on what they can't do. Forget that. Throw it out the window. What can he do? How can we put him in a position to help our football team? And then that's how you rank them. Now, the pessimists in the world, they're going to try to find the negative and key in on it. And that's probably why some people look at this draft and go, it's a boring draft because they're focused on the weaknesses. You can't do that. That's not what coaches and GMs do. They don't sit around and go, all right, guys, let's put the list of weaknesses up for our top 250 prospects. Yep. They're going, what do they bring to the table? What's their upside? How do they project to the next level? This is what this player does well. Okay, is there a way that we could put him in a position to do that in our defense? If there isn't, then no, we don't need that guy. We need someone who's going to complement the players that are already on our roster, and you can't try to decide that by just focusing on the negative. That makes
Especially
sense.
When you look at some of these weaknesses being things that you can't control, right? Like undersized. Okay, well, I'm sorry. This is my body. What am I supposed to do about that? And then the other half of the list is things that can be coached up and out and worked on. Mm-hmm. Look at Maxwell Williams. I don't like that he's got slow recognition or inconsistent snap timing. Get his ass on the practice field and work on it. Get that dummy ball out and work on the snaps. You can coach that up. Things like one-dimensional. James Pierce Jr., right? Struggles against the run. Okay, well, then you have a run-heavy focus with him and take that approach and try and add that attribute to his game. But, if you've got average quickness like Landon Jackson, I don't know how you can't teach quickness.
Right.
You either have it or you don't. So I think it's important that you're right. You avert your attention to the things they do well and try and put them in a position to utilize those traits and not get focused on the weaknesses.
Yeah, just real quick, James Pierce Jr. also this last year had a run defense grade of 84.1. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah. And again, man, you guys know how I feel about PFF. I think it's a great tool, but until they show me here's the guy. Here's the play. Like if they showed individual play grades, I would be a lot higher on it. But where it's just this kind of vague, we know it happens at the NFL level with PFF. That sometimes you get the grade and you're like, that does not match the tape at all. Like that happens from time to time. Imagine how much it happens when you've got 400 college teams that they're trying to watch, right? So, which is funny because sometimes I check on my local ETSU Buccaneers to see what their PFF grades are, and they don't even watch them. They're like, Bub, nah, we ain't sending nobody out there. You kidding me? So, all right. So moving on to NFL comparisons. These are just comps. It doesn't mean they're the only comps. These are just some of them, okay? James Pierce Jr., Brian Burns. You guys remember edge defender that Carolina drafted, pretty good football player. Shamar Stewart's is Jadeveon Clowney. Don't like that. Don't like it. Now, he played in the league for a while. He may still be in the league, but he never lived up to that hype. If let's be honest, if he hadn't knocked that South Carolina, or no, was it South Carolina? No, it was Michigan. If he hadn't knocked that Michigan player's helmet off in that game, he probably wouldn't have went in the top 5. That was just the ultimate highlight reel. Mike Green is Leonard Floyd. Maxwell Williams is Daniil Hunter. That's not a bad comp right there. That'd be all right. Nick Scorton, Zadarius Smith.
Oh, I'm out on Scorton now.
Now, this is strictly physical tools, Tim. They're not saying that Nick Scorton wants to be a captain as a rookie, okay? That's not what they're saying.
Does he want to play for a new team every season?
Donovan Ezaraku, Hashan Reddick, and then Landon Jackson, Max Crosby.
Max Crosby.
There you go, boys. You're finally getting your Max Crosby. We're getting it.
I knew they were going to do it, guys.
All right. Moving on to draft stock. We'll get ready to wrap this
the meatloaf. We want it now.
Here's the draft stock, okay? And this is what it was projected a couple of days ago, just looking at what I went through and combed through the latest consensus mock drafts, okay? James Pierce is typically going anywhere from 10 to 30 in this draft, okay? So I know it's a wide range, but some people see him as a top 10 talent. Other people see it as he should fall out of the first. Shamar Stewart, top 10 to 25, so a little bit higher consistency than James Pierce Jr. Mike Green, 10 to 30 as well, so right there with James Pierce Jr. Mykel Williams, 10 to 25, same as Shamar Stewart. Nick Scorton is 20 to 35 typically. All right, and these are, just overall picks, the 20th pick to the 35th pick. Donovan Ezaraku, a late first to second rounder, and Landon Jackson, late first to second rounder as well. So when you look at that, the Packers are probably going to have a few of these guys to choose from, as opposed to like Jahdae Barron or maybe like a Will Johnson or even like one of the top tackles or maybe a couple of the top receivers. You're probably going to have a pretty good group to pick from here at edge in the first round if you decide to go that route.
What, Tim, I'm sure you know this. Why every time I hear Landon Jackson, I hear Keith Jackson, and then I hear Brett Favre gone. Mama says, "Give me some flapjacks."
Just the other morning, I had breakfast at Tracy Rucker's house. His mama brought out 15 flapjacks. He said, "Mama, take back 5 of them flapjacks." I gotta say, hungry
for the Crimson Tide.
I got some advice for y'all. Take 2 weeks off, then quit.
We got to get I got to stay hungry for the Crimson Tide. We just need that one, though.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else you guys want to hit on here in terms of draft stock before we get ready to wrap this thing up?
No, I think we covered a lot.
All right, there you go. So here's the quick comparison summary. Sometimes these don't match up with some of the statistics we've seen earlier. You guys, like I said, do your own research. Best speed rusher.
Oh, Nelly, look at them tats.
That was close, Tim. That was close. You about got us canceled, sir.
Oh, yeah, tattoos. That's what we're talking about, right?
God, I love what we do. All right, best speed rusher, James Pierce Jr. All right, 4.47 40 with 7.5 sacks. And Donovan Ezaraku considered a speed rusher as well. 16.5 sacks, 34-inch arms. Best power rusher, Shamar Stewart, 267 pounds at the combine, 999 RAS, along with Nick Scorton, 6'2", 257, but had 14 tackles for a loss. Best run defender, Mike Green is what they're saying here, 6'3", 251, 22.5 tackles for a loss. And Nick Scorton also on that list, 14 tackles for a loss. So you're seeing Scorton often, aren't you? Already two of the top 3 he's mentioned. Most versatile, Mike Green, with the 17 sacks and the 22.5 tackles for a loss, as well as Mykel Williams with the 4.7 340. So they mentioned him. Highest ceiling, Shamar Stewart. I don't think there's any argument there. That dude's an athletic freak. If he hits, it's gonna be a home run. It says combine a 9.9 RAS. James Pierce Jr. as well with the highest ceiling, 4.47 40-yard speed. But that you can't coach that. You can't get a guy to run faster, right? You can't get a guy to be quicker twitch. Again, like Greg Cosell said, if he develops power in his game, you're going to look up in 10 years and go, damn, James Pierce Jr. was a monster. If you put 10 pounds on him and he develops a couple power moves, watch out. And then highest floor is Mike Green with the elite production we talked about, as well as Nick Scorton, consistent tackles for a loss. The two that stick out to me the most on this list after doing this exercise is Nick Scorton and Mike Green. Those are the ones I would feel the best about. Again, what was Scorton? Does it mention Scorton's size? Just real quick, and we'll come right back down to it because I just want to see, does he meet the profile?
6'4", 285 is what
he'd have to put on about 5 pounds. Well, no, he's not tall. Well, that's the thing too. Though some people will say he's not tall enough at 6'2", but Clay Matthews was 6'2". So just keep that in mind.
It's only 20 and a half years old as well.
Ooh, that'll boost him up the Goody board. So there you go. We pretty much covered all the stats multiple times. It just does a quick analysis of everything. So basically, sack leader ended up being Mike Green. The run stopper, Mike Green. Balanced, James Pierce Jr. And then projects would be Shamar Stewart. That's the guy that's got probably the highest upside. So there you go. There is your edge defender breakdown. Now we got about 20 minutes. We could go a multitude of directions here, gang. We've got the offensive tackles ready to go. What'd you say? What was that? Did you just say a mock draft?
I didn't say that. I coughed. It's weird that you heard mock draft.
I heard you say it. We all heard you say it.
We got 20 minutes. Let's do a mock draft.
Let's go.
What are we doing, boys? Do you want to do consensus big board or mock draft database, or you want to do PFF?
Let's ask the chat. Come on, chat.
Mock draft. Which would you rather use, PFF site, or would you rather use the consensus big board site? I like the mock draft database consensus big board site the best because they're constantly shuffling in real time, and I feel like, yeah, there you go, Drew D, mock draft database. All right, let's do it. He got the first one in, so that's
Drew made the call. Let's do it.
Drew made the call. Looking forward to hanging out with Drew at the draft, man.
Do we want to put any sort of stipulations on this draft? Any sort of criteria? Any situations? Or are we just doing it?
We just free.
I think no trades, and let's try to come together. At least 2 of the 3 agree on a pick. Is that cool?
All right, Dan.
All right, let me get it.
Get ready to go.
Oh, Tim.
Hit it, Tim. Just because Jacob said not to, hit it for me.
Get ready to go.
There you go. All right.
Love how Tim can find one clip that he knows just sticks in my craw and he just mashes it
over. It was 65% for the longest time, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then it was ready or here we go.
Oh man, I forgot about Dak. Yeah, we might have to bring that back.
You got to bring that back. I'm glad you brought that. Get that one back in there. All right, here we go, guys. 7-round mock draft. Obviously using the Packers. Let's hit it. I'm going to go with turbo speed here. We got 20 minutes. 20 minutes. All right, no trades. Sorry, sir. We're not even entertaining it.
Looky there.
We got a guy to choose from. This is going to be interesting. Let me put my draft board in another window so I can see it here. And I'm going to try to read this stuff off to you guys as we go. So for those of you listening on the pod, the best available are cornerback Jahdae Barron. We got Matthew Golden in the 20 spot. We got safety Malachi Starks at 21, Kenneth Grant at 22, Josh Simmons at 25, Tyler Booker at 26, Walter Nolan sitting down there at 28 as well as Derek Harmon. This is the problem we got. Here's what I've noticed, Tim. We find ourselves here in the first round, and the best player available is typically like a Jahdae Barron or a wide receiver, something like that, right? It's a little higher. And then when we don't pick a 3-tech, we end up missing out on the top of the 3-tech market because they're gone by the time we get back to 54. And this is something that the Packers are really going to have to think about. So based off of what we got here, guys, what do you think your pick would be? And I've got the board ready if you want to rapid fire them off. Anybody you want to ask about here that you need to know where they're at. Like Jahdae Barron, we got in the 15 spot. Okay. Then we've got Matthew Golden in the 36 spot currently is where he's at. Malachi Starks is in the 24 spot. Kenneth Grant is in the 13 spot.
I was going to say Kenneth Grant.
Yeah.
Josh Simmons is in the 23 spot. Tyler Booker, we could care less. Walter Nolan is going to be an interesting one. Walter Nolan is sitting in the 18 spot. So he's below Kenneth Grant on our board, even though Greg Cosell hands down says Walter Nolan's the best in the draft. And then Derek Harmon is significantly lower at 29 on our board. So Emeka Egbuka's in the 19 spot. He doesn't make sense here. Luther Burden is in the 26 spot. He doesn't make here. And there's Maxwell Hairston. You guys know he's way lower on our board. Josh Connerly, a little bit lower. Kenneth Grant's hands down the best player available right now according to our board.
Can you look at edge real quick? Who's the highest available edge right now?
Nick Scorton, Landon Jackson, Jack Sawyer, JT Tuamaloa, and then Princely, your boy Princely there. So, like Nick Scorton, let's see if we can make a case for Nick Scorton. He's in the 32 spot. That's a hell of a reach, right?
Yep.
Landon Jackson's in the 34 spot. That's a reach. This is why we keep talking about potentially trading back, right?
I think I'm thinking Kenneth Grant, or I'm thinking the pick is it's either Grant or my God, why am I drawing a blank?
Barron.
Ole Miss.
Nolan.
Walter Nolan. It's Walter Nolan or Kenneth Grant would be my pick here.
I think I agree with Tim. You got to go Grant, especially with the loss of TJ Slayton. That just to me makes more sense. You got a plug and play guy like Grant that can go be an absolute stuffer in the middle there, revamp that offense or defensive line. And it stinks too, because if I actually had my choice right now, I would I'd trade back 100%. Right. I'd trade back.
Same.
There's 10 guys in the next 10 picks that I absolutely would love. You can even go as far down as Gray's Abel and farther, not to mention guys like Nolan and Harmon and Jahdae, obviously. So
yeah, for me, it's hands down, it comes down to between Kenneth Grant and Jahdae Barron. Kenneth Grant is in the 13 spot for us. Jahdae Barron's in the 15 spot. So here's how I would approach it. I would say if Jah's on the roster, take Kenneth Grant. If Jah isn't, go Jahdae Barron is probably what I would do. That's a good point. Even though Kenneth Grant is the better prospect, they're in the same tier. Kenneth Grant's score is a 15.7. Jahdae Barron's a 17.7. So they're in that range of 15 to 19.9. All right.
Well, as we speak right now, Jair is still on this team.
That's true. That's a good point.
It is. But last time, Tim, we did not get a 3-tech when we did this, and we went with Jahdae Barron. So
remember that.
Yeah, let's go Grant.
Yeah, we got to make our pick. I'm gonna say Grant because, like you said, Tim, he is still on the roster. So.
Yep. Kenneth Grant, run the cod.
All right, we're going Kenneth Grant, defensive tackle out of Michigan. Mentioning Greg Cosell said that Kenneth Grant is a big boy, but the way he moves, he can play 3-tech, is what he said. So I like what SDM40 says there. D-tackle ain't flashy, but might be the smartest choice there. So now you got the guy in place to potentially take over for Kenny Clark next year, right? And you bolster your interior pass rush bit. So
up next, we have the whole team of Ohio State.
Man, I'm telling you, they're like Ole Miss, dude. They put together a hell of a class here.
All right, so Ray Thomas hanging up there at the top of the list.
To me, it's either Azare or Jack Sawyer.
Yeah.
So we got Azare Thomas, cornerback out of Florida State. Travion Henderson, running back out of Ohio State. Quinshawn Judkins, running back out of Ohio State. Jack Sawyer, edge defender out of Ohio State. And Tyleek Williams, defensive tackle out of Ohio State. Here's what's crazy. If we knew Tyleek was going to be there, we would have probably went Jahdae Barron. But this didn't happen last time. That's the beautiful thing about it. We got Tyleek in the 35 spot. Jack Sawyer, where do we have Jack Sawyer at? He's a little bit lower. We got Jack Sawyer in the 45 spot. Azare Thomas, cornerback out of Florida State.
I think he's a little lower.
Yeah, we have him significantly lower, don't we? We have Azare Thomas. Whoa, he's way down here. Yeah, we have him in the 75 spot. So this is tough, gents. If we could go back a pick and redo that, Jahdae Barron and Tyleek Williams would be the grouping. Tim, they got us again, damn it. They got us again, bro. Every time. We're trying to find that perfect draft, and it just keeps evading us.
So
you guys see that, don't you? We got Shaden Higgins is available out of Iowa State, wide receiver. You got Carson Schweisinger. You've got Alfred Collins out of Texas at defensive tackle.
Well, you guys know who my pick is. So
yeah, Tim's going Jaden Higgins, right?
I would say either Higgins or one of the two Ohio State edges.
Okay. So potentially edge.
JT.
Yeah, so
I like both of them.
Yeah, let me see where JT's on our board because I want to say he's a little bit higher. He's in the 42 spot. JT is. Jaden Higgins is in the 47 spot. All right. And so basically what it comes down to is JT is one tier higher than Jaden Higgins. So we'd be reaching for Jaden Higgins, but we know wide receiver is going to drop off, right? And do we truly need an edge? What we just talked about, right? We just talked about the fact that
got a good rotation.
Yeah, we already got a pretty heavy rotation of edge defenders based off what we're doing. So that's what it comes down to. Tier Higgins. What is it?
I'm Team Jaden.
All right, so you're going Higgins. Tim, you're going Higgins too, right, bro?
the best guy around.
That's all we needed to know. All right, we're going Jaden Higgins with the 54th pick.
Look at that. Another A. Straight A's. They call me Ace.
Yeah, and Prince makes a good
Buzz.
Prince makes a good point, man. You probably get another edge later for sure. So
ooh.
Here we go. Now we're getting into the nitty-gritty.
Damn, look at this grouping here.
Yeah, read that grouping off,
right?
Read that grouping off and check them real quick. You don't care.
Well, 67, Mr. Cameron Scadaboo, which I know makes no sense, but I'd honestly be pumped if we got the guy. He's
63 on our board.
He looks to me like Mike Allstott reincarnate. Obviously, then we got Wyatt Malum. I'm very high on Wyatt Malum. Absolutely
58 on our board.
That's very versatile. I think he could be either a plug-and-play guard or tackle. And then there's Tim's favorite tight end, Mr. Harold Bannon Jr., and then another guy that we very much like. Why not just bring the band back together, getting another Iowa State receiver, Mr. Jalen Noel at the 75 spot, and then honestly, 76, another guy that's a little bit, I think, flying below the radar is Demetrius Knight, linebacker out of South Carolina.
Yeah, Demetrius Knight. He's interesting because I actually listened to Greg Cosell talk about him yesterday. He said he made it sound. He didn't come out and say it, but he made it sound as if Demetrius Knight's the best linebacker in this draft. I think he said he's just undersized, if I remember correctly. But we gave him a 7-point Greg Cosell bonus. He's in the 72 spot. So based off what we got here, what's on the screen, I think Wyatt Malum would be the pick based off our board. We've got him in the 58 spot. So if we're not going to go offensive line, what position do you think we need to key in on, guys? We still haven't gotten a corner, have we?
No, I would say take a glance at corner. Otherwise, I'm grabbing Wyatt Malum here with this pick. Get another A up on the board.
I think we go Wyatt Malum and come back and either grab Quincy Zai or Null.
Yeah. Let's see here. Burke, Denzel Burke. Let's see what we got him. I want to say he's lower. He's way lower. Quincy Riley.
Noel Williams might be a good pick next round, like Jacob's saying.
Yeah. That's what I was trying to look at here. Noel Williams, we got in the 174 spots. That's be a little bit of a reach. What do we got? We got Zai Alexander in the 95 spot.
Okay.
So it's going to be close.
Go corner in the 4th round is what you're saying.
If he's there, yeah. We pick 124th. He's 125th. So I don't mean he won't be taken. But, yeah, I think that would be the way to go here because we got Jacob Parrish significantly lower, I want to say. Jacob Parrish is, 132. So
Wyatt Malum, you are a Green Bay Packer.
That's what I was thinking. Fidel said another crazy stat was he was one of those guys that never allowed a sack in the last 3 years, playing at a pretty good school there. So
help me out here, guys. Remember 58. That's Wyatt Malum's spot, okay? And I'm going to go through the interiors here.
Oh, Charles
Grant, 69th.
I don't feel like he's going to be an interior, though. I think that guy's a true tackle.
Yeah, and there's some that are mixed up, and you'll see in some of the articles we write. I mentioned like, hey, some of these guys are projected as guards. They're going to be, or projected as tackles. They're going to be guards. So it's definitely something to keep an eye on. So far, he's running away with it. I think it's Wyatt Malum is our pick here.
I like that pick.
Jackson Slater. We're going Wyatt Malum here, offensive tackle. So again, out of West Virginia.
Look at that, an A+.
Is that good? What does that mean? High score?
High score.
Did I break the game? All right. Now, we said we were going to come back and try to get – what are you oohing about? Talk to me here.
I really like Chris Paul Jr. Yeah.
Dude, undersized, but Greg Cosell was the same way. He was like, this dude's tape is off the charts. We got him in the 98 spot.
He is a little undersized, though, isn't he?
Yeah.
Can you scroll a bit there?
Zai Alexander is gone.
Noel Williams.
Edge. Let's pull up Edge.
God, we have got no corners. This is wild, man.
I like
Edge,
David Walker.
Savion Jones, Jared Ivey, David Walker. I want to say David Walker was real high on our board. He's a smaller school, though. Let's see where Jared Ivey is.
He graded out unbelievably well.
Jared Ivey, we've gotten the 50 spot.
Wow. See, I'm a big Jared Ivey guy.
That's crazy. That would have to be the pick. I mean, Tim, we screwed the Pooch corner by not going Jade Barron, didn't we, man? That's
true, but then we also wouldn't have Kenneth Grant.
Right, but we would have Tyleek Williams, but then we wouldn't have Jaden Higgins, right?
What? Who's the best available according to their board right now? Like if you take corner off and just went all. Oh, look at that! No, I'm just saying. I'm putting my Goody hat on.
Bro,
you're telling me we're sitting here at 124 and Tyler Shuck is on the board. I'm just saying.
Don't do that,
bro.
Don't do that.
I'm not going to do it. I refuse to do it. But Greg Cosell said he's the second best quarterback in this draft.
What?
Only behind Cam Ward. He's better than
saying.
He's got that size too. Just real quick, just to throw another wrench in the spokes here. David Walker's grades the last 3 years, playing over 500 snaps at least in every single 92.9 in 2022. 2023 took a small step back at 88.6. This last year played 731 snaps with a 94.6 grade. He was the number one edge defender out of 869.
There you go.
Sire.
So again, those Central Arkansas, right? That's the only problem. If he played for Alabama, we'd be all over that pick. Of course, he'd probably go in the first round. To be honest with you. So what did we come up with? We were talking a little Shuck. What was the
Jared
position?
Ivey was the top.
Yeah, Jared Ivey was the one that really makes
We need a corner though, bad.
I'd either want Ivey or Noel Williams in this pick.
Me too. My question is, does Noel Williams make it to 159?
Yeah, no, because didn't he had a ton of interceptions. What's crazy is we've got him in the 174 spot, man. And he balled out at the Senior Bowl. Balled out.
I'm wondering if he would be there. Like if we took an edge here or something.
Yeah, it's just the value is so dang good.
He had 7 picks last year. That's pretty darn good. Coach Lynn says Ivy. I'm kind of leaning towards Ivy, to be honest.
It's not even close for me. It would have to be Ivy, but I understand Tim's frustration. Like, boys, now we did say, Tim, we're assuming Jair's going to be on the roster, didn't we? We said that because that's why we didn't take Jahdae Barron, right?
True.
So you feel a little bit better about the cornerback room. You went and got Nate Hobbs. Jair's back. Nate Hobbs, Keyshawn Nixon, Carrington Valentine. Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay with that. You get a late round corner. If Ja's on the roster, I think we just all coming to grips with Ja ain't going to be on the roster, right? That's probably what's going to happen. So anybody opposed to Jared Ivey here?
Dude, Jared Ivey, 90.6 grade last year. He had one of his 2 best games were against Georgia. He had a 91.4 grade against Georgia. Let's go.
Yeah, and we got to get at least one player from Ole Miss in this draft.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah, Jared Ivey is in the 50 spot for us on our board. Daniel Jeremiah had him at 50. Kyle Krabs had him at 49. And like you said, Jacob, PFF grading 24. He's the 16th best at his position.
Run that cod.
Jared Ivey, edge defender out of Ole Miss.
It's an A.
Now, back
For
to
the love of God, get me a corner.
Look at that. Quincy, baby. Let's go, Quincy.
Let's see if that makes some sense now. So those guys are still there for sure. Quincy Riley, we've gotten the 215 spot.
Nice. All right, Dan.
Za Frazier. God, 364, but he has no information. None at all.
Is Noel Williams still up there?
Can we just look at the corners specifically and see what we got there? Mello. O'Donnell. Hey, we got life, Tim. We got life.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, there's a couple. That's who you're going to end up with, right? In the next few picks, right? Like an O'Donnell Fortune or Where's Kobe? Is Kobe still up there? Kobe Bryant?
We got Mello at 183. We got Fortune at 260 or 254. So right now, Mello's the best on our board. Longer Beam is 353. It's getting ugly, boys. Ventrell Cypress. What is
Ventrell?
Yeah, he's way lower. Yeah, we're at the bottom of the barrel, man.
So you're almost better, quote unquote, reaching a little bit right now if you want to grab someone.
Jermari Harris, 139. So that ain't bad for where we're picking.
I haven't even heard of him, to be honest.
Never heard of her. That would be the one other than, what did I say, Mello? So
Noel's still there.
Yeah, but we have him lower on our board.
Yeah.
I just feel like
Jermari Harris is the best on our board. We don't have to take him. I'm just saying, like, he's hands down, and we'll get a horrible grade for taking him right here.
The reason I like Williams so much is just he's a straight up man-to-man type corner, you know, and I feel like that would kind of round out, you know, some versatility in the cornerback room, having a straight up, you know, man-to-man type of corner kind of mixed in.
And if we go all, does anybody pop off the screen here from another position? Just take a quick look. Elijah Roberts. Yeah, we already got. Actually, he's another defensive lineman. Yeah, this is tough, man. We're kind of in no man's land right now. You know, we really are.
Chase Blunt, Kobe King, Nick Nash, Luke Kandra, Pat Bryant. Hey.
Pat Bryant is set to go 178. We got Pat Bryant at 127. So yeah, for us, if we're going to go corner and none of these other positions are really popping, right, it would definitely be Jermari Harris according to our board. But if you guys want to go Noel Williams, say you can outvote me. You know what I'm saying? So is that what we're thinking?
Are we convinced to go in corner here? Like who's best available overall?
That's what we're just looking at.
Yeah.
It's booty cheeks. I mean, we do need a linebacker. Well,
Stutzman, I like Stutzman, to be honest, but
Stutzman's 94th on our board, boys.
Is he really?
Well, that's extremely high value then at 159.
He's all the way up at 91. Yeah, that would hands down be the best pick here. If we have to go corner, it'd be Jamari, and we could get him later, right? So let's say we go. Let's just kind of spitball this here. Let's say we go Danny Stutson here, and let's see if we can get Jamari. What was his name? Jamari
Harris. He's up. He scroll up right there.
Where?
Scroll down a little bit.
Okay, gotcha. So 226. So we can get him with 198. So let's go Stutzman here. Y'all good with that?
Yes.
All right. So we're going to go Danny Stutzman with this pick, and then we'll come back and get Jamari.
Get us 4.0 GPA so far. I love it.
Yeah, first time that's ever happened in my life.
Me too, brother.
Me too. All right. So now we're going to come back and get Jamari Harris. Anybody opposed to that? Because he's going to be gone at 237 for sure.
I love O'Donnell Fortune, but yeah.
Yeah, explain that to me, because it seems like every time we have this conversation, I'm much lower on him. What is it? Is it the 24 PFF grade? Is that what it is, Jacob? It's got to be
realistically, yeah. I mean, it's but he's also in 2022 when he played 9 games, he was a 78.8. He's a coverage grade of 90.2, man coverage grade of 79.5, a zone coverage grade of 87.5. Played predominantly outside corner. Didn't get a ton of production, but I mean, just consistently throughout his college career, passer rating against him was 77.1, 65.2, 61.4, and he played a lot of snaps. This last year, he played over 700 snaps, played 13 games. I don't know. He seems like a type of player. He's 6'1", 185, according to PFF. He is most mocked to the Eagles, second to the Packers.
Gotcha. And here's why he's so much lower on our board. In 2022, his PFF rating was 91st at his position, not bad. He dropped all the way to 456th in 23. Yeah. But in 24, he climbs all the way back to 18. PFF Big Board had him at 145, and the consensus Big Board had him at 352. So I'm glad we did this mock. Here's one of those players we talked about. Currently, O'Donnell Fortune is 207 on the consensus Big Board. On our board, we got him at 352. That changes significantly. Should we put the new number in or keep the 352 that he was at the end of the year? I'm good either way. I'm going to let you two decide that.
I just would like to see what would happen if you plug in the new information, just see where he falls.
See where he jump up to? Let me see. O'Donnell Fortune's in the 207 spot right now. So if we change that, he's currently, remember this number for me, Tim, 254. Okay? Remember 254.
Yes.
So he's currently 254. And we're going to jump him to 207 there. Bang. That changes his grade significantly. Now, all of a sudden, O'Donnell Fortune is in the 170-ish spot.
Which would put him as a great pick at 198.
Would.
But then again, like you said, is this what we want to do, or do we want to stick with what we already had?
All right. It's tough, man. What if we met in the middle? What if we met in the middle on that? You know what I mean? Rather than 207 or what I had in before, the 3. I don't even remember what I had now. That's great. I already forgot that. I told you to remember number.
254. 254.
254.
All right. We're going to do 254 for his number. All right. That puts him in the 139 grade category. So that puts him somewhere around 200 now, which is around this. That seems pretty fair. We'll leave that alone then. All right. So we'll just leave it right there. So we're going to go O'Donnell Fortune here. We talked ourselves into it, Jacob. That's how this rolls.
Just real quick, because I had not heard a lot about Jamari Harris. He, according to Draft Buzz, because PFF did not have a lot on him, he's 6 foot, 191, senior. His 40 time was a 4.56. You know, not obviously I can't run that. Arm length 31 3/8. Decent height, decent vert at 37. I don't understand him being so high up on the board. But
here's why he's higher on our board. In 2022, his grade was 224th. He dropped to 367. Then he jumped all the way to 35th in 2024. Okay. And the consensus Big Board had him at 174 at the end of the year. That's why he's so high on our board. And he's probably dropped seeing that they got him as a 226 here. Let's see where he's at. Yeah, he's sitting in the 226 spot on the current consensus Big Board. So no more football had been played, right? And since the end of the season, with no more football being played, Jermari Harris has dropped on the consensus big board from 226 all the way down to 174. So that's kind of those two ships passing in the night that we talked about, right?
Yep.
Just
real quick, confirming Noel Williams is off the board now. Did he get picked?
Yes, sir. He's gone.
Okay.
Yep. All right, so we've got it narrowed down between two. It's either going to be Jermari Harris or O'Donnell Fortune. What do we want here, boys? Talk to me.
I'm gonna go with Jacob on this one.
O'Donnell Fortune,
the kid out of South Carolina.
Gotcha. And according to the consensus, the mock draft database here, it's not a horrible reach, right? You're going from 198. You're reaching the 207th prospect at pick 198, right? So like if you were to go all like they're saying, you could get pick 150 right now, or Pagese too, right?
Yeah.
Which this show has went over already. My wife's
let's do O'Donnell Fortune. Put him out there. South Kakalaki. Let's go.
Yeah, let's just do it. Let's get it done here for my marriage sake. Right?
Oh, get a B+. Not bad, Buzz. Good work.
All right. So now it's going to be pick 237. Pick 237.
Boy, Jason
Marshall. Don't you dare.
We got our linebacker. We're good there, right? We got our 3-tech. We're good there. We got us some wide receiver. We got an offensive tackle. We got an edge. We got a corner. What do we want to see here, boys? Scrolling down. What is it?
Riley Leonard.
I like Clay Webb.
Listen, I like Riley Leonard, but he couldn't hit a bull in the ass with a mop.
I'm just joking.
Now, he's got grit. He'll run with it.
What about Clay Webb? Where you got him, Clay?
It's funny. We actually just did a write-up on him. He's a part of our interior offensive lineman article that's going to be – it's actually already live for those of you on the Patreon group.
Boy, he graded out real –
You ain't ready for this one.
Are we just going to glance over the tight end from Iowa?
Oh, Nick Lachey. Luke.
No, it's his brother Luke. But where do we have him on our board?
I'll tell you where we got Clay Webb. We got Clay Webb at 116.
Okay,
well, we definitely don't have Luke Lachey yet.
Clay Webb last 3 years playing over 500. He almost played 1,000 snaps last year. Had an 82 flat grade. He was ranked 10th out of 639 guards the year before. He played almost 900 snaps. Had an 87.4, ranked 3rd out of 635 guards. 2022 played over 550 snaps with an 80 grade, the 13th ranked guard. Granted, it's at Jacksonville State, but the dude is an absolute. He's allowed 3 sacks. 1 sack per year. He's played almost exclusively at left guard. He did play one snap at left tackle in 2022, but I'm totally on board with this guy. Smaller school, but dominated.
Just a little preview of our interior offensive lineman breakdown we're going to do. Clay Webb dominated at Jacksonville State, earning accolades as a top FCS guard. His athleticism and nasty streak gives him a chance to stick in the NFL, though his level of competition raises questions. Webb's mid-round projection reflects his potential as a depth player who could compete for a starting role. His RAS card, by the way, 9.20.
Put him on the board.
Draft him.
That's the one, ain't it?
That's the one. I mean, the only O-line we grabbed was Malum, right? So This would be good. This would be a good pick here. Yep. Oh,
A+.
Look at that. Now you just draft a Rondé Gatson.
Let's go, dude. Give me the flowers. Let's all go have a – it's good.
Yeah, that's best available. You got Jalen Lane. You got Jaquavius Marks, Khalil Mullings.
It's the Key and Peele sketch right there.
Nick Martin. Yeah,
Gatson.
I would be on board with Rondé Gatson. Let me double check the board. I'm pretty sure we got him fairly high. Gatson.
Drew D says, do you think we'd take 2 pure guards? We didn't take 2 pure guards. You got 1 guard and Wyatt Malum is, I believe, a true tackle.
And even if we did, we'd be turning one of them into a tackle anyway.
That's you know how it is.
Yep.
Like, I don't see Wyatt Malum as a slam dunk offensive tackle, to be honest with you. I think they could kick him inside is probably what they'd roll. But when you look at the interior, I mean, look at offensive tackle. I'm telling you, man, the more time goes by, I have a feeling that Jordan Morgan's going to end up being left tackle when it's all said and done. Not this year, but in the future. So something to think about. I see what you're saying there. if someone sees Wyatt Malum, Drew, as a guard, I understand what you're talking about there in terms of the measurables, but I'm just so sick of worrying about an inch or two on arm length and watching us get our ass kicked by the Eagles in the trenches. Like, this is Clay Webb, nasty streak. Makes a lot of sense. Like, let's get him in there. Let's send in a goon. But yeah, Rondé Gatson, to round this thing out, he's the 99th best prospect on our board.
Let's go.
Let's go,
dude. Boom. Look
What?
at this one. Here's a draft.
Jacob
I
said,
really like this draft now.
it's
Back this over to Goody.
Can we
again, yeah, get on the phone, Tim. Get Goody on the
Yeah,
line.
I'll get it taken care of.
can we save this one? Can we reference back to this one?
Yeah, we'll definitely save it. I'm going to
Save
save
it.
One
it.
of my favorites.
Frame it.
Yeah, the issue, people are going to see this and go, "Where's corner early?" This is assuming Jair's on the roster. We talked about that early on, so please don't roast us too bad. All right, that's what we were thinking here. Now, do I think Jair's going to be on the roster? No, but that's how we work this draft. So there you go. We got it saved. If I can delete another screen grab, let's go. Yeah, let's delete that one. I'm going to throw it in. You guys remind me, Jacob, if we get to the show tonight, Tim, if we get in here and go, man, I'd like to see that one we did earlier, we'll have it in the screen grab. It's going to be at the top of the list here. Okay. So we've got it saved now. So again, just a quick recap. We got to wrap up. My wife has probably packed her bags or packed mine, I would imagine. Kenneth Grant at 23, Jaden Higgins at 54. We went Wyatt Malum out of West Virginia at 87. Jared Ivey out of Ole Miss at 124. That's crazy value.
Yeah.
Yes.
Danny Stutzman at 159, linebacker out of Oklahoma. O'Donnell Fortune, cornerback out of South Carolina at 198. Clay Webb, interior offensive lineman out of Jacksonville State at 237. And Rondé Gatson, the second, tight end out of Syracuse at 250. That
Let's
is your
go.
marker. So
I love it.
I like
all
it.
right. That's going to do it, guys. Again, you got all the information that we were talking about and referencing here in the Patreon group. Go join. We're doing a giveaway tonight. Everyone who is a member in the Patreon group, I'm going to say this right now. I usually don't do this. I will have time to get the latest update. So if you want to enter yourself into the contest to win the autographed Mason Crosby card with a little jersey patch on it as well, make sure you're a member of at least the $3 tier on our Patreon group as soon as possible, because when I get back home, we're going to go run some errands. When I get back home, I'm going to compile the list of all the data, and everyone who's a member of the $3 tier of Patreon, as well as a YouTube member, are going to go on the Larry McCarron Pinky Wheel. We're going to give that card away tonight. So just want to mention that. And again, you have access to all the other information. Jacob, Tim, thank y'all for your time. We'll see y'all tonight, 7 p.m. Central. Everybody have a great day.
And we go.
Bye, guys.